I've been listening to what you talk about with Ellie in your in the real estate podcasts, and you see you bringing Ellie along, and it's just a fascinating role reversal. You know, you've been learning your whole life, and then all of a sudden you've got this opportunity to help other people do the same thing, and it's so much fun. But what you realize again is you never stop learning. You never have it all worked out. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. So you may as well roll with it and see what happens.
Yeah, I think it was kind of funny when me and Ellie came up with the idea for our podcast, or the Realty Talk podcast. I go, well, one, I wanted, this is not geared at real estate. So I did want to have a niche podcast geared at real estate because I do like it. I just don't want to bore everybody else out there with long conversations on real estate. So we do kind of little snippets each week. I really enjoy those because I find that's probably where I have my most knowledge, just because I do it so often that it's just naturally where I gravitate towards. But the whole purpose of it was, here we're going to take a brand new agent that has not sold a house, has not done anything, literally got her license brand new, open like a sponge to learn stuff, but that's where she is. Paired with me, who's been in it for almost a decade, of kind of my ups and downs. And to be honest, we're only 4 years different in age.
Sure.
But I've been doing this since I was 21. And so I've had a lot of different experiences. I've experienced it through college, through being single, through being married with a child. So I've had this up and down. I've experienced no clients to today where I don't have enough time to get to everything, which is just like a struggle, which was kind of funny because last week when we had talked about it, Ellie said, what do we do when we have all the time in the world but no clients? And I'm looking at it and it's like, it's different because to me, I'm like, I got no time, but I have a lot of clients. So we're on a very opposite end of the spectrum, but I've totally flip-flopped that over 8-9 years of just hard work and doing little things. So I kind of look back at it when you talked about teaching, like I'm now getting away from what I'm really kind of focused on to now I'm stripping it down to where I was 7-8 years ago, but it allows me to kind of have different perspectives on stuff and to allow her to kind of don't make these mistakes that I did, or kind of like learning from a mentor, just like, hey, I've experienced all the stuff that you shouldn't have to experience. And I'm just going to tell you right now, don't waste your time on that and do this. And now part of it would be good if she experienced certain things, but then I also know like it's kind of a dead end. Like just go down this path and then from that path, try to build your own better path than maybe I took. But I think that's
always the challenge, isn't it? Being a mentor is to sit there and say, yes, here's all my experiences. And yes, that was a dead end for me. But at the same time, trying to understand why it was a dead end. So if somebody wants to explore new ideas in that environment, how can you offer them what you've experienced?
Yes.
But at the same time, let them shape their own path.
And
that's a struggle, isn't it?
Yeah, because part of it is you want to say like, don't do this, but there's times where I know she's set up, not in a bad way, but like say she's calling a client. Mm-hmm. I know from the first instance it's going to bomb. Like I can just tell the way she's talking, the way they're acting, whatever. I'm sitting in my head, I'm like, I could easily swing this because I've done this 1,000 times, but I'm not going to say a word. I'm just going to see where it goes, probably knowing that it's not going to end well. But at the end of the day, she's got to experience that to get better. So it might be one where I could step in, save it, but I'm like, she needs to hit a speed bump. She needs to lose the client, but she needs to screw it up. She needs to come across as not knowing everything that she may know in 2 years from now or even next year or a few years from now. But she's got to have that experience of failing to get better. She's got to have that rejection. So like a lot of times I'll be sitting there and like, I could step in, but it's not going to teach her as well as just stubbing her toe and failing and using that as like, that didn't feel so good. I got to get better at this. And I think I'm a big learn by doing kind of person. Mm-hmm. So that's what we talked about. Again, we were picking on Jordan before.
The parenthood analogies keep coming back, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, but we were talking about, I forgot what we were been saying, and I think it was about the resume. Mm-hmm. But we're talking about like, the college is good. They're going to teach you how to do a resume. Mm-hmm. But we're in a position right now with our office that we're looking at hiring a person. So I have 8 or 9 resumes sitting in my inbox.
Sure.
And you just came in and talked about doing the same thing, but college teaches you one thing, and you basically contradicted what she said, not in a bad way, but a real life scenario, which is what I always found out fascinating when between college and not. It's like college gets you to think, gets the critical thinking part of it, but it's not the real world. Like, you're gonna get out there and you're gonna learn by doing a lot of it. So
Absolutely.
I think that you, at least from a hiring standpoint, I don't think anybody taught you the perfect way to hire. I think that's evolved over time.
Yeah, certainly. And
I don't know how much
again,
you've hired, but
my hiring experience is fairly limited. In the military, people got posted. So
Yep.
From a hiring perspective, again, my interview process was fairly limited. And a lot of my knowledge of hiring comes from our talent identification specialist at Norsk Titanium, who is Joe Shoemaker. Used to work at ETS, has since
Great
transferred
guy.
across to us. Incredible guy. If you ever want to study in positivity, he's your man.
yes, it was great.
But the analogy he gave me, and I absolutely adore, is attitude and aptitude. I can train the rest. So
What's the second one?
attitude and aptitude.
Oh, aptitude. Gotcha. I
Sorry.
like that. Yeah. No, you're good.
Yeah.
Good.
So he sort of pitched that idea to me, and I'd sort of looked down at RPI, and we'd spoken to the people at Clarkson looking for interns and stuff like that. And if you went to RPI and said, give me, I don't know, aerospace and mechanical engineers, you'd get hundreds of candidates. How do you know that that person is going to be the right fit? Now, to give you an example, when I was going through college, the internet was only just starting up. We had basically text emails and long before smartphones and everything else like that. So by the time you hit the real world environment after 4 years of college, a lot of ideas have progressed, and you have to get comfortable with the idea about lifelong learning. But at the same time, can you bring a passion and a drive and a set of ideas and initiative to a job? Because largely the tools that you operate within the job will change from company to company and place to place. But if you can adapt yourself and maintain that sort of pragmatic, objective approach to problem solving and to getting things better, then you will find a place wherever you go in the world. So finding that candidate who can come in with some good ideas, adapt those ideas, or help you progress those ideas. Finding those kinds of candidates, I found it a little bit difficult, to be honest. And usually when you find them, they're really obvious and they're like diamonds in the rough, and you can't wait to sort of make an offer to them. But at the same time, it's, especially with you, like growing a business, it's all about how do you create an environment where they can come in, provide their own ideas, provide their own thoughts, provide their own improvement, but at the same time, maintain the brand mindset that is your business and that is you. So, I mean, you started this business largely on your own, right? I mean, sorry, it's your family business, but...
No, it started back in the 50s. My father bought it in the early 90s. I came on in 2011, January of 11. In over 8 years, I've slowly transitioned into more of like kind of like development, operation things here and there. So what I'm trying to do is take what he's built and do like a Kavanaugh 2.0 and just kind of build off of that.
So you're now turning the brand that is Kavanaugh Realty in Plattsburgh to your brand, your personal
Correct.
brand, what you want that business to be, right?
Yes. Yep.
But now you're bringing on other people. And how do you collect the best ideas and bring those people on board, but at the same time have them maintain what you want that business to be? And it's the same, it all comes back to offering those opportunities, offering the opportunity to learn, to grow, to fail, to do all of those kinds of things at the same time as molding them into, the vision for the business that you have. Because obviously that's hugely important to you. Obviously you've got a great idea about where you want to take that over the next 2 years or 5 years or 10 years, and you know what you want it to be. And how do you grow those people to make them support that vision for you, right? And I'm by no means the expert in it, but it's a constant, it's a fascinating challenge to me to see the way people take that approach, and to read those kind of books and to try and understand how do you get everybody pulling in the same direction. And I don't care if it's Boeing and 10,000 people or whoever. How do you get everybody pulling in the right direction, right? And that I started out as a basically working on squadrons, doing maintenance and everything else. But it was always the idea of organizational systems theory. What does a business need in order to grow and develop? What are the true objectives of that business? Tell me the why of the business. Everybody knows the how. Sorry, this comes from a book that I just read, actually.
Yeah,
It's called Start With Why by Simon Sinek.
Yeah, I got.
Incredible book. But it always talks about everybody understands the how of the business and the what. Everybody understands what we do. Everybody understands how we do it. But in terms of understanding why, that becomes the really difficult aspect to pull together. Because if everybody understands the why, then it's easy to get people pulling in the same direction. Galen has literally pulled that book right off his shelf right now. I love that book. Fantastic book. So that becomes that organizational systems engineering, systems of systems, the systems approach to making sure you've got everything in place to do that. That to me is what gets me out of bed in the morning. Now, I'm the quality assurance manager at Norsk, but at the same time, that keeps me looking at process. How do we collect the right data and analyze the data in such a way that it tells us what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong? What's hidden and what's visible? How do we change the way we collect data or change the way we analyze data to make sure that we're tied in with the overall business goals from a quality perspective, and that feeds into all of the great ideas that everybody else is bringing to the table, so that we as a business can collectively get better, collectively improve, and collectively grow and expand. But that's a lifelong challenge. That's an incredible challenge to try and pull all of that together. But Synnex Theories in Start With Why is so scalable to any business you like. And that fundamental concept of why. What are we truly trying to achieve rather than just coming into work and doing the day-to-day? How do we focus that in on future goals?
I got to. So I believe I have that on Audible. So the thing is, as people have known on the book on the podcast, I do have a lot of books. I do like to read. I try to read every single day if possible. But I do have Audible, which I've found that Audible's good, but I have a tendency when I'm in the car, because I'm in the car a lot and I can listen to them, I do have a tendency to daydream in the car. So what ends up happening is for 5-10 minutes, I could be driving down the road, it's on, becomes background noise.
Sure.
I'm thinking about 1,000 different things throughout the day, and I'm not really sitting down. And so I find that if I'm listening to it, there's a distraction where I should go back through and actually read the hardcover, because I don't read on Kindles. I literally straight up hard copy books. The most things I buy online are books. Mm-hmm. Another one came in the other day, and I see one, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to buy it, add it to my shelf.
Sure.
I do want to read through that, because I think the why aspect, kind of what you were saying, is it's tough. It depends. What I find, and I haven't been hiring people long ever. I mean, this is new territory for me. Managing is new to me. I've never had anybody underneath me. Now I have kind of, with Jordan, there's a couple interns, our agents, a couple people coming on. So, I mean, there's people. I find that I talked about it before, but my job, I really find that I wear 3 hats, and one of them is the operational, leadership part of just a group of people. But I find that I probably should write it down. I kind of have it written down in not a real formal way, but in just ideas and sketches and stuff. I really have a good idea in my brain as to what I'm doing and want to pull off, and I'm very much like it's weird. I think we talked about this before. I'm like a blinder kind of person. I feel like I'm a horse, like running the Kentucky Derby, where I see the finish line. I can see. I wouldn't even say the whole finish line. I want to say that I can see turns of a track. I've never used this analogy, but this is what I kind of find, that I see turns of the track. So maybe as I'm going down with the blinders, I can see the track, and maybe that track is my 10-year goal. Mm-hmm. But then even just a month or two ago, something popped in my head, another idea, not like something that's going to happen tomorrow, but another one where I'm like, I think that's going to be my next big goal that I want to take on. Meaning my first big goal was me as a single agent. I obviously have my goal set. I had a 10-year goal set for myself as a realtor, just as a single person.
Sure.
I have 2 years to pull it off. I'm in a position where I'm setting myself up to I'm setting myself up to be able to achieve that. I'm kind of aligning in the right way. Step 2 is the company. So now I'm like, okay, now I'm looking at, now we're probably year 1 of that. What's my 10-year goal of that? Now obviously now it's expanded. It's kind of like having kids, meaning now as people start coming on the team, how am I going to try to coordinate and try to, like you said, give my why or my view or my culture into that company. And then it's like, then I'm kind of already even like inserting like another portion of that on top of that where I want that to evolve. So it's,
Yeah, absolutely.
but it's like, it's all in my brain. And like one, it's kind of weird. Like, I think it just happens naturally, but I know like the book, like Think and Grow Rich, kind of like what your mind can see and believe it can achieve kind of thing. And I truly believe in that, like visualization. Like I've visualized a few things that I don't know how the hell that's going to happen, but I can just see the end result. And I'm like, I know it's going to happen. It's just more of, okay, now let's strip it down to year by year, week by month by month, week by week, day by day, hour by hour. And I think the biggest idea with like getting, because I can't do it alone, and I've realized that, and I know that I've known that, like I was never going to fake it on my own to try to make it. Like I realize I need people, and I need people that are better than me at a lot of different things, because I bring a certain skill set, but I'm limited. I'm one person. And what I've found is the only way I think to get people to that, to your why or to why you want to do it, is one, have a bigger why than that's like a selfish why, which I don't. I have like a really big, hopefully why that will help more than just myself kind of deal.
Sure.
And which it can expand to multiple people. But then it's also wondering, I think a lot of it comes from enthusiasm. I think a lot of it comes from probably a little bit of crazy, because I think some people look at me, that work with me, and I probably seem a little over the top at times, and some of my friends are probably like that. There's something not quite right up there. But I find that when I talk to other friends that have kind of that same mindset, that we all just kind of were like, no, you're normal. But I think, meaning a good mentor of mine and a good friend, Aaron. We talked about him before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Aaron Benner, very good friend of mine and business mentor. Maybe anybody knows Aaron. He's like a what do we call a firefly that we're trying to catch in a mason jar, but we can never quite catch him, because he's always just. And I'm sure Libby would react the same way and say that's a perfect analogy for Mr. Aaron. But we look at each other and we're like, yeah, you're kind of normal, but we're both a little kooky, and we're both, I think, but I think you need some of that to rub off on people, to kind of see like, I don't know, this guy's a little crazy, but I think we can trust him, and I think he's on the right path. I don't know if that's true or not. I think just by really pushing for what I want, eventually the right people will jump aboard, and I kind of just sift out to the right people will end up in the right spot to hopefully execute. And I know that's a jumble, like all over the place, but if people know me, that's my mind.
But I get that, and I fully.
You can follow that. That's good.
No,
yeah.
I completely understand that, because there is something incredibly compelling about passion. Passion for a hobby, passion for art, passion for your job. I mean, how many people get to go through life and be truly passionate about what they do? I mean, to really enjoy, getting up in the morning and be energized about coming into work and doing the things.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be bad days at work. But I think if you can bring, an energy and a passion into what you do, I mean, Aaron Benner is a great example. I mean, the guy brings energy and passion to everything that he does. That's compelling. It's attractive. People want to be a part of that. And I think, I think it's unbelievably good to have the 5-year and 10-year goals, whether they're written down or not. And it's even better to have, to be able to tie everything together and say, this is the day to day, the month to month, to have that almost fanatical devotion to short-term goals that are going to achieve the long-term goals, provided you're comfortable with the idea that those 10-year goals are going to be constantly changing.
Oh, all the time.
And you're going to be headed in that path, but you might change the path, or you might change the direction, or you might change, something new comes along. Your kids come along, and it changes the path or the direction that you might want to take.
Or time frame.
That you want to do it, provided that you can still retain the passion and the direction and the vision for what you want, work or life or whatever it happens to be. I don't think normal's got anything to do with it. I think I find somebody who's passionate about what they do, and I don't care what it is an incredibly compelling thing to see. So somebody who's passionate about music or passionate about art or who can relay that passion. I mean, Scott Brightwell and I started talking about the software industry that he's working in, and he's got some staggering ideas about the scope and level of a process like that and how it can help. And seeing the passion of that come across, again, just to sit back and listen to that bleed through in a conversation, it's so incredibly compelling to listen to. And it's such a great thing to be around. So no, I don't consider it normal or otherwise. But at the same time, I think it's great. I think if you didn't carry that passion in, then what the hell would you be doing? I mean, I understand doing a job because it gets you somewhere, or it lets you take the next step. Maybe you're saving up money to go do a course, or saving up money to travel, or something like that. And if they're the choices you make, fantastic. That's great, because you're structuring your life around exploring your passions. But I think a life, bereft of that kind of, opportunity would be horrifying.
Yeah.
In some way.
I thought about that the other day. I said, if you think about how often people work in their life, I mean, if you take the normal 40-hour work week, and that's not counting the time getting ready, going to work, commuting, things like that, it could be 10 hours of your day.
Sure.
Every single day for 30, 40 years, whatever you work, and it's like, man, if you're not doing something every single day, I mean, one, I make my own schedule, which is great, and I'm lucky to do that, but I'm also my own, like, I don't think a boss could be more, like, I don't think if I had a boss, they could be more strict, or not strict, but kind of like I'm my own. You know what I'm trying to say? Like I basically.
You drive yourself harder than any boss could.
Yeah, there you go. I'm jumbling my words here, but yeah. So I mean, I don't think another boss could drive me as much as I do myself. It's just the way I naturally am.
Sure.
But I find that I do it partly because I'm excited about the future, and I don't know. I think probably part of it is I try to do it I want to say too quickly. I'm very much a long-term kind of person, but I find that like day to day, if I'm not like doing certain things, I'm missing an opportunity. I'm wasting my time. I'm going slower than I probably should. Like, yes, will one day off or slower derail me? No, but it's just my mindset, kind of like the same thing. Like if you don't go to the gym one day, there's a slippery slope where.
But this is where we come back to balance, isn't it?
Yes,
so you
exactly.
come back to that idea of balance
Yeah.
to say, yes, it's really important to focus on the short-term goals and the long-term goals and everything else, but you try not to miss what's in front of you.
I'm pretty good about that. It's just, it's more of, I'm very much like I enjoy what I'm doing. So I'm not looking too much.
I'm just going to grab another drink here.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You want, we got a club soda there too, if you want that.
No, keep
You like
going.
the bubbly? You like the water? No, I mean, for me, if I'm like the day-to-day stuff, I have fun with. So I'm not really one where I felt like I missed out on the day, because I'm very present in a lot of stuff I do. Like if I'm meeting with people, if I'm talking with people, even with the only probably negative is if I'm like trying to return messages between like idle time, where I'm like texting or calling people.
Sure.
Like you might think that I'm not present, but I might not. If I'm just sitting there and like four of us are talking, and it's like, well, I'm just gonna bang out some stuff here. But like one-on-one with people, I'm very engaging. If I'm with clients, I'm very one-on-one with them. I try to really stay present, and even with like Jordy, sometimes I'll be talking and I'll be on the phone or doing something, but there's times I try to just really focus on what we're doing. Overall, I'm pretty good, but it's more of just like, it's the other stuff. It's just when I just don't like to waste my time. So I really try to be proactive. I try to put things in play very quickly. So if anybody knows me, you came in and mentioned my scatterbrained whiteboard up here, but a lot of it's up there to keep me accountable, but to say, hey, you got to do it. And I don't want to have it sit up there too long. So I'm constantly every week erasing stuff and adding stuff, but progress is being made. So a lot of it is I'm very much like, I know the direction I want to go in, but it's same thing. It's like my brain is a bunch of fireflies that I'm trying to collect to just get them all in the bottle to make it happen.